Hey guys, welcome to another Bike World reveal. This is something that's really exciting. This is the new Triumph Tiger 1200 range. These videos only happen because of the support and help from our sponsors. Support the companies that support us. So this isn't just an update, this is an all-new ground-up redesign of the 1200, previously the 1200 Explorer. Here's the headline: this bike is aiming squarely at the crown of the BMW 1250 GS as the ultimate adventure touring motorcycle. That is a massive, massive claim. The BMW, love it or hate it, has certainly in sales dominated the large capacity adventure bike market for best part of a decade, if not two. No one's really managed to knock BMW off the top spot yet. Now, other manufacturers have made bikes that are more road-based, more touring biased. KTM's, for instance, take the, we'll do that, but we'll go more off-road. What Triumph's looking to do here is straight for the jugular on the GS. Not make an off-road version, not make a road one, make something that strikes that balance between on and off-road, adventure and touring, but does it better and with a more modern package. So the new Triumph 1200 starts out at 240 kilos for the lightest one and sneaks up to 261 for the one with all the bells and whistles bolted to it. Now, if you know your adventure bikes, you'll know that's a big chunk lighter than BMW's 1250 GS Adventure, and that is just the tip of the iceberg. The Triumph makes more power, has more technology, and has a slimmer riding position. If Triumph has achieved what they're saying, this thing is going to be absolutely phenomenal to ride. So let's clear up exactly what's coming from Triumph. There are 5 models on their way. We have the GT, which is the base model. There's the GT Pro we have here, the GT Explorer, which is the touring one with the 30-litre fuel tank. Then on the more off-road slant, we have the Rally Pro and the Rally Explorer, which is the Rally with the 30-litre fuel tank. 5 bikes, 3 of them in the touring side of adventure and 2 of them in the more off-road side of adventure. Now these are shaft drive, 150 horsepower motorcycles, and they have got an absolute wodge of technology put into them. But for now, what really matters is the ergonomics, the riding position, the weight, and how they feel to move around. Those are the bits that take a touring bike and make it a really usable adventure bike when you run out of tarmac to play on. So to talk us through the details of these new bikes, I've got Triumph's chief engineer, Stuart Wood. I'm always bending his ear about the new bikes at Triumph, it feels, but I want to start out with the technology, because adventure bikes these days, all motorcycles these days, are growing and growing and growing in the number of rider aids, assistances, things to make things safer, things to make the riding better. I think it's the Explorer models on these have the radar lane change blind spot system.
That's right.
Can you just give me a quick overview of what that is and what it's for?
Okay, well, it's a really good system because it just lets you know if there is a car or another bike in your blind spot. So while you're riding, on your mirror, you've got lights on both mirrors, which will indicate if there's a vehicle there. But if you indicate to change lane, it'll flash at you as well. So it gives you a more definite warning and catches your attention. So
it's similar to the system you see on a car mirror where you get that little light that comes up.
That's right.
It saves you having to rely solely on the lifesaver.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so one of the things we've talked about with this bike in the reveal, Triumph's made a real beeline for the class leader, the German bike with the sticky out cylinders. Rally Explorer versus GS Adventure. This one's still lighter, isn't it? That's right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've taken 25 kilos off our previous generation model. Now that's a huge mass reduction. It's been a really, really big focus. And the interesting thing with the mass reduction is actually the more spec you add, the bigger the mass difference is to our competitors. So when we get to the Rally Explorer, we're 17 kilos, spec for spec, 17 kilos lighter.
That's awesome. Have you spec'd the BMW as a LED top box option, or that's a fair spec, is it? Yeah. No, that's a really important point to make, that yeah, you've got to compare spec for spec between the models. Totally. 25 kilos, you know, I'm not going to tell you how much 25 kilos is. Go and pick up something that weighs 25 kilos. That's more luggage that you can take on an EasyJet flight. That's a ton of weight to take out of a bike. Not a literal ton, obviously. How?
Okay, well, it's total commitment, total focus. That's the design team, the manufacturing team, and the whole business. Completely new bike, so you've got a new engine, new frame. It's completely different layout of all the components, again, to optimize the package. So you're minimizing everything, including wire lengths. You really are focusing on absolutely everything. It starts with ergonomics, it starts with giving the rider the right position, but you get into every bit of detail. And if you can save weight, you save weight.
How much focus was put on off-road for the two rally models?
Well, quite a big difference there to the GT models. We've got longer travel suspension. We've got 20 millimetres more travel. So we're 200 millimetres on the GT, 220 on the Rally. We've got a 21-inch front wheel and 19-inch on the GT. So they're optimised, as you said before, for road touring, but with off-road capability and more off-road capability. All models have an 18-inch rear, which again gives a great combination with the 21 front and with the 19 front. Great range of tyres and really feels excellent. In addition to that, all the bikes have got semi-active suspension, show a semi-active suspension. And that's set up with dedicated off-road modes as well, which gives you appropriate damping and rear preload for off-road.
The rally versions, obviously, that's the big, sexy, fancy bit of adventure bikes, is charging around off-road. How far have you been with them in your development and testing? What's the sort of gnarliest thing these have done so far?
As you know, Chris, we really do test to the extreme, on-road and off-road. So the bikes get used very hard. We've got the most competent test riders. They challenge the bikes and we give them the terrain to challenge them. So in addition, of course, we've got Ricky Carmichael on board now, and he's ridden this on his motocross track. And if you have a look at his video, he's pretty complimentary. The bike is like a Tiger 900 to handle on steroids with all that extra power and torque. It's a real blast to ride off-road.
Awesome. Well, if Ricky Carmichael's happy, any road people here, Ricky Carmichael is a AMA Supercross legend. Just put him in the Google. He's going to ride this harder than most of us are going to. We're probably going to crash it more though. Not wanting to bang on about off-road forever, but just on that last little off-road question then, in terms of durability, now there are some bikes that you can throw on the side time and time again, pick up and ride off, and there's never a big bill waiting for you. And there are some bikes that if you walk past too quickly, you've done 200 quid's worth of LED indicators. How much focus have you put, if any, on durability of these bikes in less than ideal riding situations?
Okay, well, quite a lot. There's various items there, and it would start with simply a sump guard, solid aluminium sump guard that isn't just one thickness. It's two different thicknesses to keep the weight low where we can and add the protection where it's needed. So it's a fabricated assembly to absolutely optimize that. We've got engine protection bars, we've got tank protection bars, and these are fitted as standard on the Rally Explorer. So you can fit them as accessories on any of the bikes. Now that's really useful. That does give you real protection if you come off the bike. Now, if you take it more extreme, if you did come off and cause some damage, we've now got a bolt-on rear subframe as well on the bike. Now that's done for the reason that it is easily replaceable, but also it's part of the mass saving. So we've got a steel front frame with forged aluminium outriggers and then an aluminium rear subframe to reduce the mass. So it's a win-win. You're getting a lot of benefits out of the one decision.
But all the way through, I guess those are the bits that people want to know. You want to know that when you go off-road and clatter into a rock, it's not going straight through the sump of your bike, and it's never if. When you drop it, it's not immediately going to stove in the radiator on the side of it and cost you 500 quid.
Correct.
Obviously my heart's over there in big travel suspension and knobbly tyres, but an adventure bike has to be more than just a gigantic dirt bike. These ones have the 19-inch front wheel, still the 18-inch rear wheel.
That's right.
You guys, we spoke a little bit about that. You guys have tested 17 and 18-inch rear wheels and felt like you can get the same chassis performance without having to have two different wheel sizes.
Absolutely, and it gives us the benefit that we've got a really nice off-road setup there with the wheel sizes. So, there's no detriment on the road, and there is a benefit off-road of having the 18-inch rear.
So in terms of touring kit, touring features of the bike, these are shared across both models, but first of all there's the adjustable screen, which is always terrified just to grab a bit of bike and yank on it, but that's just a one-hand ratchet operation there.
Really simple, gives you 60mm of adjustment, really useful.
Perfect, really nice. Yeah,
and saves a load of mass.
Another lighter feature.
Yep.
Good. You have thought of everything.
Absolutely.
Have you made the handlebar grips thinner? Heated handlebar grips, without doubt, my favourite motorcycle accessory. They're on, am I right, all of the models here, but not the base GT model.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, they're fitted as standard. We know you're going to need them at some point, and they're just really neat internally wired heated grip. Looks great.
And on the heating subject, if you've never tried a heated seat on a motorcycle, it's one of those things you absolutely do not need. It's not required. But once you've tried a heated seat on a bike, it's a revolution.
Yeah.
Which ones have heated seats, or is it an accessory available on all of them?
On both Explorer models, it's standard. Now that's the rider seat and the passenger seat, and the passenger seat separately adjustable, obviously, for heat, so that you can get comfortable yourself. Okay, but it's accessory fit on all the bikes, all the other bikes.
Hot hands, hot bum, lift up screen.
Happy rider.
Happy rider, definitely.
Absolutely.
Final little contentious adventure bike question is always going to be seat height. That's people's favourite thing to go on about. Seat height is not just as simple as a flat number, as I'm sure you guys are well aware. You can't just say the seat's this height, because it's actually about the width of the seat, where the foot pegs are. It's really hard to say without sitting on the thing, but for the sake of numbers, what are the seat height figures for the lowest and the highest one in the range?
Okay. Well, the lowest is 850 on the GT range, but you can get a 20 millimeter lower seat as well. Seats are adjustable by 20 mil, so that will give you three options on seat height for the GT. You're at 875 and 895 standard adjustment on the rally, and again you can come down 20 millimeters on that as well. So as you mentioned, very narrow, a load of focus has gone into the packaging and the ergonomics, and the actual standover height, how easy it is to get your feet to the floor, is really, really important. We've moved the rider's seat further forward on the bike, so this is to give you more control. You're closer to the front contact patch, closer to the steering axis. Again, gives you a bit more space and more comfort overall.
Let's have a little bit of engineering nerd time. One of the things I can't help but notice on the back of these bikes, I think is one of the most striking engineering features, is the tri-link swing arm on the shaft drive setup on the back end. 1.5 kilos lighter than the old system.
Yeah.
Can you just talk us through some of the features of that, and why you went to twin-sided rather than single-sided?
Twin-sided gives us the opportunity to reduce mass. That was the focus. We've put the linkage arrangement in there. It's a near parallelogram design, which then offsets any tendency for shaft jacking when you're accelerating. So it's ideal with long travel suspension. You need that to keep control. It allows us to optimize swing arm pivot height for anti-squat at the rear when you're accelerating, and gives good suspension control. Add to that the fact that we're now direct acting rear suspension unit, again to both reduce mass, free up packaging, this keeps going. You know it does. It's all intertwined. It's all about mass reduction, control and feel of the bike. So it's about riding, and mass reduction itself is about riding. So they'll all completely link together. So
it'd probably be fair to say then, you can't look at any one change on this versus the old bike, because everything affects everything else, and it has to have come from a complete.
Absolutely, completely.
Perfect. This is I think a real important bike for 2022. The adventure bike market, it's been growing and growing and growing, and it's still one of the biggest motorcycling markets. As I've mentioned, they're one of those bikes that does everything. You never feel like you're on the wrong bike. I still love sports bikes and super bikes. I still love every other bike on the planet. But adventure bikes really are the do-anything bike. And if Triumph has done what they're promising, which is built a genuine GS contender, I am very excited to ride it. Hopefully, early next year, we'll get our first chance to take this for a spin and put it through its paces.